Saturday morning, and we're going to have a go at recovering sun visors. Now I know with the Defender you don't really have to do that because they never really seem to go wrong, but a lot of cars like the old Range Rover that we've got, oh the crap, the foam goes and you get mucky and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is try and recover it. Now I'm going to do a certain amount of work here and then we're going to go to Jim's when we're ready, and there's a reason for that. We're going to do it in a different way to these are made. We might do away with the mirror. We don't know what's inside these. I've never been inside one of these, and I tried to fill it full of spray foam, which failed miserably. This side worked out lovely. What we're going to try and do, we need to make first of all a template of this, right? We need to make that shape because we're going to use a different style to this. It's not going to be quite the same, but it'll look the same as the headline. It'll match. It's not the perfect way of doing it, but trying to find these that's like 30 years old is almost impossible. So what we've got down here is some cardboard, well, paper from the dollar shop. We weren't too happy with this because we wanted something thicker, around about 1 millimeter thick. We couldn't find it for love nor money. We wanted a cardboard. Wait a minute, I'll edit this bit out. That a box is made of, like this stuff. You see, like, oh, wait a minute. So we were looking for a cardboard like this, but this is corrugated and we didn't want corrugated. You'll see later why. So top down didn't come into play there. So what we're going to do is we're going to laminate some paper together. Now we're going to need quite a bit. We're going to need quite a bit because we've got to make a template sort of like this. So this will get one template. Well, you'll see it's not really a template because we're going to actually glue the material to this and then fold it over here once this is stripped down. But it's most important that we find out what is a good thickness, because Jim's got to stitch around this and we don't want it so thin that when he's sewing it, it's going to cut through the paper too much and it'll make a sort of a very thin stitch. It's technical, but you'll get it. So at first what I've thought about doing, I was all over last night, I was all over town trying to find cardboard last night and I just couldn't find anything in town. So I'm going to laminate this and I'm going to pop out to the dollar shop and get some more because it's $1 a sheet. Unfortunately they haven't got white, because if it was white you get $2, 2 sheets for $1. So we've got some spray glue. It'll all become clear, don't worry about it. I'm not making it up here. Well, I am. Oh, is this going to come out? So we're going to get some spray glue and spray it. This doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, it doesn't have to be perfect at this stage. Oh, a bit of a delay action. Get it onto the corner. Again. I think that is going to laminate look nice. So, we're not using sticky back plastic or anything like that, we're going to use just glue. So I'm going to go down and buy a shed load of this and we're going to build it up to a thickness of about 1 millimeter. We've seen this done in the States and they can buy a cardboard on a roll, and we've looked high and low, we couldn't find it round here. Well, sort of, we could find something that was 0.5 millimeter and glue that together and we'd make 1 millimeter thickness. It's for contractors, when they're working on your house, they put it on your floor so they don't damage your flooring material if it's wood or anything like that. But it was $78 a roll, and we only want a piece. We only want 2 pieces like this. So I mean, we'd have an awful lot of waste because we're not going to go into the sun visor recovering business, that's for sure. So that sticks really nice. I'm pleased with that. Let's go and get some more paper. So back from the dollar shop. We've had about 5 inches of snow today. The air is cooked admirably, no need to get the Land Rover out. Top tip, I bought about 10 sheets, but I bought 2 sacrificial sheets because when you walk out the shop and it's snowing, it'll get wet. So we put that to one side and then we'll keep on laminating until we get to a decent thickness. So now I've got 3 sheets here, 3 sheets of the wind. And we've got 0.89 millimeters. So I'm going to put 4 sheets on. We'll get to a millimeter. That should be pretty good. And then we'll see what it's like. And then we'll lay up another set of 4 sheets and just see if we've got that good stuff. And then we might nip down to Jim's and before we cut anything out. So I'll lay the template out and then we'll cut it. Then we'll see what's going on. I don't know. Too early. What excitement, snowstorm. I'm just using this Elmer's spray adhesive, it's nothing flash, for long-lasting bonds on paper, plastic, foil, metal, cardboard, wood, fabric and more. It's kind of strange because everybody says it glues metal, but you know, try gluing a Land Rover chassis on with that and it won't work. Now, to get it nice and flat, paint roller. So far all it's cost us is $11 for paper. And I've just laced it on because I didn't line anything up, I just plonked it on and made sure most of it's covered. But the simple reason is that we're only going to cut a little bit out the middle, so why get sort of all the angle? Now, what thickness is it now with 4 pieces? We shall see. There's a good place to measure here. 1.16 millimeters, or if you're in America land, 0.045, 45 thou. And that's as thick as the cardboard that you could buy commercially but you can't buy here. So we're pleased with that. I'm going to let that to dry off. I've got both pieces drying off. I've got plenty here in case we make a bit of a balls up, you know. But this type of paper here, it's a nice thickness if you want to make paper templates for patterns for welding. You know, if you're welding a patch in, this stuff's excellent. Regular paper, too thin. But this, you can really cut it and trim it nice and fold it. That's the nice thing because you can score it and make folds so that when you do want to replicate a piece of metal, it's almost identical, and then you can transfer that to your metal sheet, cut round it, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, away you go. You're not messing about and wasting time. For $1, is it worth it? Right, with the cardboard nice and dry, we're now going to draw around this first sun visor. Now, because we haven't done this before, we don't really know what we're doing, but I think what we'll do is just make a template here and draw it on the other card ready to go, because if we have to do any adjustments then we can do it before we cut the other piece of card, if you can see what I mean. It's kind of difficult to say because sometimes like stitching around these areas here might be a tad difficult. I don't know, because we've got to fold the material over and stitch around this side here. Anyway, let's have a go and see if we can make a sort of a rough outline of this. It's not easy to do. There we go. Away. Now, one of the important things when you're doing this is that Jim and I talked about this, and he said leave a little bit on the edge so that we can sew it. But that if we did that, then we wouldn't get it back in the aperture. So I think we've got to cut it a little bit smaller. I'm not really sure at this stage. I'm just making it up. Right, so there's the corner. There's that one. And there's our wavy line going across there. So what we're going to have to do here at the top is maybe do a straight edge across there, because that's not quite straight. But wait a minute, well, let's see now. So now what we've got to do is calculate the thickness of this. I'll get it down here. What should it be? 20. So let's straighten that line up. Where's my straight edge gone? There. Right, this is better. Straight edge on there. Oh, this isn't too bad. And a straight edge on there. Because it's gone a bit wavy and wavy-davy. Then we're going to add 20. And then we're going to do a 10. You'll see why. So we're going to do that in half. Fold it over. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I've never done this before. Maybe need to score a bit deeper. I'm going to be fighting against that cut. I think Jim's going to be pleased with this cardboard, because it really hasn't half stiffened up now. There we go. And that's what we wanted. That is exactly what we wanted. Now you can see how far I was off on the line there, so we're going to cut it like this. We don't want that bit. Put it round there. We'll use the broad mark so we don't get confused. There, that's better. So you learn things here, don't you? Yeah, let's cut that out. There we go. Now, we need to score down these other lines here so we get a nice radius. And you can see how it's cracked here across the back. Well, that's no big deal. But that's really stiffened that up. I was really pleased at that. Now, before we cut that out, I'm going to make another, I'm going to draw round. I'm going to draw around it here. So we've got another template to work on, if you see what I mean. And then, before we cut it out, we'll make some adjustments. You know what I mean? Because if it's wrong, well, we'd have to start again. But if we just use one first, let's get that marker right tight into that corner. There we go. I'm really surprised when that glue's dried how tight this has got. I put 3 little marks on the ends there so we know where it is. And there's our second template. Put that to one side in the oil. Now we need to score down those lines there. This seems to be the best. Because this isn't just a template, we're going to stick the material to this. This is why we want it thick. Maybe a bit too thick. What the hell am I doing? But we want this to bend in a nice radius, you know what I mean? So that when we fold that round, you're going to get a radius on there. Now this will all be covered with foam, so all will become clear. So we're going to say that this is the inside. Next. Honestly, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. I'm going to have a look inside here and see what the spray foam did. Now, again, it's only vinyl, but cut away from yourself. Don't slip with your knife and cut yourself. I've never had one of these apart. And I probably won't. Oh my God, that spray foam did a good job. Oh dear. There we go. You can see the original foam. Well, you can start to see it. Yeah, you can see what's happened to it. You see, see, look here. This is the problem with it. It's all started to flake. Oh, it's rubbish. And yeah, I had the sort of right idea, but that's probably it. Now we've got a mirror here. And it's plastic bonded onto there. I'm not sure if we're going to put the mirror back in. I'm not sure. I don't think we will, because obviously if you've got a Range Rover you're not a vain person anyway. And you see, well you'll start to see in a minute that this is just bloody cardboard in here. I've got a great big piece of cardboard. So the spray foam was a roaring failure. Yeah, you can see it now. I thought it had worked on the other side, but it didn't. It certainly bonded, but it didn't bond evenly.
Bad idea doing that.
Right, we can discard that. Yeah, that's all. That was my spray foam idea. Failure. But working on this side and taking this foam off, all we can see in here, it's just a piece of bloody cardboard, look. That's all it is. And with a bit of luck, if we can get that out, we might be able to use that cardboard again. I don't know. I really don't know. And that's it. That's all it is, look. The wireframe. There we go. Oh, that's a tight bit. Just a wireframe. Now, clear up the bench a bit. Well, that moves. Looks good. That's a bit tight on there. So the wireframe, the cardboard just goes in the wireframe. You can see the remnants of the glue where they've just sprayed it on. So that, there's the... Oh, so that's all they've done, look. That's it. So what we're thinking of is doing is, well, let me get this bit of foam off. I'm just going to whack this in the sandblaster and clean it up. So I've sandblasted them, and now you can work out how they actually work, and they're really interesting. Well, I found it interesting anyway. You've got your bracket that goes to your ceiling, to your roof, and then you've got this other pin here, and this is usually held in by a plastic clip, and that's because you can unclip it and move it to the side to stop the sun coming through the driver's door. So that's sort of spot welded in there or something. But this bit's the interesting bit. Can you see there's a flat on here? Well, underneath here in this little cup, there's a spring. So when you turn this, like if I'm trying to replicate the roof, when you turn this and you want to put your sun visor up, it flicks into this gap. Look. Can you hear it? It flicks into there and it locks in. So this would be the passenger side. I don't know how I'm going to do this. So when you bring this down, you bring it down a bit and then you push it back up, flicks back up. Oh, those British engineers didn't just design Spitfires, they designed sun visors as well. It's probably German. Anyway, I think what we'll do on here, we'll just put a very light bit of oil on there just for lubrication purposes, because I know in these cars when they get damp, and I didn't realise this because I thought this was all solid, I thought it moved here. But anyway, I'm just going to put a very light bit of oil on there, not enough to contaminate when we're doing some sewing, but now it's nice and free. Knowing what we know now, I think we can strip down the other one and prep it up. Take this down to Jim, take the other template down to Jim and see where he figures, because I'd like to get these painted, put some paint on them so they're not going to go rusty. So let me strip the other one down, let's get them painted.